Welcome back, YouTube fam. If you're hungry for effortless dominance and a seamless gaming experience in Disgaea 1, you came to the right channel. And now I have a maxed out statistician on this item as well. Again, welcome back, YouTube fam. I know it's been a minute since y'all seen anything drop on my channel due to school and these classes that I'm taking. So I just wanted to hop on here in between classes, these semesters, and drop something. Today's video was requested by a subscriber, so here we are. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit those like, subscribe, and notification buttons. That way you don't miss out on any content that I drop. Also, if you're new, one thing to know while you're here, I'd rather be long-winded instead of short-sighted, so on my channel, due to the details of some of the games I play, the content can sometimes run a little longer. But for your convenience, just know the timestamps are always down below, so feel free to skip ahead. But you could miss something, so there's that. This video is designed for those that are newer to Disgaea, but hopefully veteran players can get something out of it as well. Feel free to comment down below and give me any critique. I'm always looking to improve my content. Typically on these Disgaea tutorials that I do, I like to go through and create a sort of series on walking the player through step by step on what they need to do and the tasks they need to complete in order to reach max stats in the Disgaea game. Historically, I started dropping these videos in reverse order. So I started with 5, and then I did 6, and then I jumped back to 4, and now we're at 1. So the video breakdown for today is going to be similar to this. So first we're going to talk about the things that you don't see in Disgaea 1 compared to some of those later versions like 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to talk about the things that you do see in Disgaea 1, and I'm going to elaborate on a couple of those just to give you some tips on how to take advantage of the things that you do see. You will not reach max stats in Disgaea 1. It's kind of pointless. It's more of a novelty in this game, but just know moving forward throughout these tips and these topics we talk about that you can beat Disgaea 1 with a single character. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about, as I mentioned before, Disgaea 1 was the first Disgaea, obviously. Disgaea 1, no brainer.
No shit.
And as the series progressed, they started, changing the game and adding new mechanics, just like they do with anything else. Any movie, they build on the plot. The game, they built on the plot. They added mechanics. That's not really a surprise. But understanding that, as we, historically the guides moved from 5 backwards towards 1. The thing I want to talk about is the things that Disgaea 1 does not offer. Disgaea 1 does not have an innocent farm. Disgaea 1 does not have a Shara world. Disgaea 1 does not have a cheat shop, does not have reverse pirating, does not have abilities, does not have tower attacks, and it does not have an interrogation room. Now, you're probably naturally asking, why does it even matter that those things are not in Disgaea 1? And the answer to that is because you have to understand what you lose in the process of not having those things. So for example, the innocent farm made it easier to farm innocents, which they still have innocents in Disgaea 1. They're just not called innocents. They're called specialists in Disgaea 1. And you don't have that farm to help you obtain them easier. Shara World helped to raise your aptitudes. Now, your aptitudes are still in this game, but they are no longer changeable. They are fixed rates on all the characters. The cheat shop was a big one. It helped with raising your level and raising the level of the enemies to get more experience and level up faster. Reverse pirating was crucial in helping obtaining legendary items and also leveling those up and reaching max stats. Evil Teas helped with raising stats. Tower attacks helped with defeating certain enemies, and the interrogation room helped with capturing certain enemies and also obtaining certain items to then again and therefore raise your stats. So with that in consideration, moving on to the things that are in Disgaea 1. So, like I mentioned before, specialist, aka innocence, the item world. However, it does not have the innocent town anymore, but you still have item world, the dark assembly, legendary weapons, character stacking, enemy combining, and transmigration, aka reincarnation. And you probably most likely also need to prioritize them in that order that I just listed them. Those are essentially the things that you really need to be focusing on in this game to be successful. Okay, so I just want to take a moment here to clarify and back up a little bit, retract my statement in regard to the order of these things that Disgaea 1 does have and how you should prioritize them. So what I want to highlight and put emphasis on, sorry, words are hard, is the character stacking. Now, the game points this out early on, but if you are a newer player and you are not utilizing this function in the game, you absolutely need to. I know it sounds stupid and it sounds simple, but if you're not using that, you absolutely should, because the reason I say that is when you go into the innocent when you go into the item world, when you're in there and you're doing like your innocent farming and you're leveling your innocence up, it is way easier just to stack a few characters up on top of each other and just throw them across these maps, because some of these maps are very large and it will take you longer to traverse your characters across, and you risk getting hit and attacked and losing life and not even making it. So my recommendation is you utilize this character stacking feature to help throw your characters across these levels and just avoid battles altogether if you can. Now, moving on to another topic that I mentioned earlier in the list of things that I was going to talk about, and really this is what I want to focus on for this video, is your innocence, or aka specialist for Disgaea 1. Now, if you're a new player and you're just starting out, the first thing you need to be doing is trying to get your hands on two different specialists, the Statistician and the Armsmaster. The Statistician is in every Disgaea game. It increases your experience gained from defeated enemies, and then the Armsmaster is something I've only seen in Disgaea 1, and it has something to do, if I'm not mistaken, with increasing your aptitudes for your attack. I believe. It is very crucial to increasing your stats, though, that I know. So those are the two that you need to focus on, is the Statistician and the Armsmaster. The way, then this is tip number one in regard to that, the way you get your Statisticians, because there is no innocent farm on here, you can essentially roll your innocents that you get and farm them from the weapon shop. For example, when you go to the weapon shop, you go to buy an item. If you look over on the right hand side under the item, you'll see its innocents listed. So what I do is I come through here and I just look for any innocent that I'm looking for. It doesn't really matter, but see, there's an Armsmaster right there. You could potentially be looking for anything, but this is how you would do it. Same way. Let's say we were looking for that Statistician. We just started playing and we're trying to level up. So I'm going to come to, there's one. We found one out of the that are available. It was 32 out of 40, right? So you just go through and you look and you look. We only found the one, right? So if you don't see enough, or you're still trying to get others, you just go out and then go back in. Every time you come back in here, like if I go back to 32 out of 40, it should be something different. The Statistician is not on there now. And it does that for all the items. Like I said, it's essentially re-rolling all of the innocents that are in here. So with that in mind, you go through here and you find the ones you're looking for, like this Statistician, and you just buy it. Once you buy it, it's in your inventory. See, there it is on the right hand side. Once you have it in your inventory, then you start the second part of this process, which is subduing that innocent. Now, another point that I would like to make before we go into the item world is, as you saw when we were at the weapon shop, those innocents had a number next to them, their level. You can adjust that by coming here to the Dark Assembly, and there's a bill in here. Because there's a lack of a cheat shop, the only way around that to get more experience, to combine with your gained experience with your Statistician that you have, is there's a couple bills in here for stronger enemies. And I recommend doing this in increments and not just going straight to strongest enemies, especially early on. I would take it one at a time, kind of, take it in intervals, raise it up one. If you feel like you can go to the next one, go to the next one, right? But that's how you're going to raise the level of your enemies, thus raising the amount of experience that you get. This also raises the levels of the innocents that are in that weapon shop, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the item world and the statistician that we just got from the weapon shop. So assuming that you've already gotten to that, the next thing you need to do once you've gotten the innocents that you're after and you've got them to a comfortable level to go through the item world, you're going to come here to the item world, and I don't have any Mr. Ginsey out, so I'm just going to have to do all 10 floors, but this is it's going to look like. So here's that statistician that we found. We're just going to go through here, and like I was saying earlier, the first thing I do is I look for that gate, and I start stacking people up to get my character over there. And since there was 3 of those innocents or specialists on there, we will probably see others as we go through here, but do not worry, I'm going to potentially cut a lot of this out in an effort to keep the video shorter, but I'm just going to go through all 10 floors and show you what the end result looks like. And there is one of those specialists, so let's see what that is. I guess it doesn't tell you. We're going to go down there and subdue him real quick. And in the process of doing this, I do recommend that you also have some sacrificial characters that have some good throw range. You're probably going to lose some of your characters along the way, but that's okay. Just remember what the ultimate end goal is. There is another specialist down there that we're going to get to. So we have now made it to the 10th floor in the item world, and this is the floor that you can get out of, even though there is no innocent town. So what I am going to do now that I've collected all 3 of the specialists is I am just going to wear these enemies down so I can get my hands on a Mr. Ginsey out. And just like that, we went through 10 floors, we got our Mr. Ginsey exit, and we're going to return to the Overlord's castle. And as you can see, we subdued that statistician, and it's now level 78. So once you have went through the item world and you have subdued your item, at that point it's time to combine it with another statistician to make it even bigger. So what we're going to do is I actually have one on this character that I'm going to unequip, and we are going to have to move some of these innocents in order to combine them. So I'm going to take this from this and move to this. Here's the statistician, and I just moved it. So now you see the 2 statisticians on this one item, the 870 and the 78. Once you got them where you want them, then you just simply combine them. And now I have a maxed out statistician on this item as well. So in summary, what we talked about was some of the missing mechanics, why they were important, what to early on, and then I moved on and gave some tips on what to focus on and demonstrated how to farm innocence to get you going forwards towards being able to demolish the enemies in this game. I hope these tips and strategies have empowered you to become an unstoppable force within the game. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to stay updated with more gaming content. And if you want to connect with me beyond the game, be sure to check out the links in the description below. There you'll find some awesome merch featuring yours truly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Winks out.